Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Unlimited, where we interview people who are changing the world. Wow, already the radios are going crazy, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So I'm here in Hawaii. Wow. Okay, so these guys usually don't talk like this. We usually don't even have them along for these interviews, but we're doing making music with ET's team this season, and so we've got all the devices. We've got this cool theremin that we've been working with and all sorts of stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Rick Bergen. He is the founder of Brands, and he's an inventor, and he works with zero-point energy devices, bioenergy devices, homeostasis, bringing your body back into that healing mode, pumping up your life force. And he's got an entire line of different products that he's invented and worked with over the years. So he's one of the early pioneers. You know, a lot of these companies are starting to pop up, and you know, he's done the hard science, the measuring of these devices, and has a lot of different people around the world who benefited from his work. And so welcome, Rick.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we've been exploring what's possible.
Yeah, that's really great. You know, from the first time I met you, Rick, like, you have such a strong, positive, fun, intelligent energy. Like, I immediately was attracted to you and your energy, and so I'm really excited to have you on the show tonight. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, and everybody knows how much I love tech, and so this is really great to mix the spirituality with the tech, and also with the channeling. You know, it's like these inventors of today are, you know, you guys are really bringing through new ideas that have never been done before. And that was the first thing I wanted to ask you. You know, I know being a pioneer myself, it hasn't always been easier. It's getting easier to kind of work with things that are ahead of their time. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, how did you get into all this? What was the beginning of all this? I mean, was it when you were 7 years old, or was it later?
No. It you know, it's kind of a funny story, but so I was a business consultant, and in 2001, I got a call from a friend who said, and what I did for businesses would set up direct sales companies. And his friend called me and he said, "Hey, I've got these doctors who have a product and they want to set up a company, and, you know, would you do it?" And I said, "Well, what's the product?" And he said, "Well, it's this bag of crystals that balances your energy body." And I just started laughing. I was like, no, really, what's the product? so, you know, because I was like oblivious. And he's just going on and on about it. And I said, "Listen, I'll be in Irvine and I'll come see you." And I went to see him, and he did this demonstration, frankly, that, you know, blew my mind, because it was one of those things where they put this bag of crystals on me, and it changed my body instantly. And my brain is just going, no, this no. Right, this isn't possible. So I had him do the demonstration 5 times. Because, you know, I'm a skeptical guy. I've seen a lot of woo-woo. I'm like, what is this woo-woo-ness? And he took me to meet these 2 doctors, and Dr. Ron Jones, and so Dr. Ron Jones is like 6'4", bald, and if any of you are old enough to remember the Addams Family, he looked like a tall Uncle Fester. And you know, and he's a physicist, and he worked with NASA, and he helped create the MRI. And, you know, he liked to discuss things like the speed of dark, which is way quicker than the speed of light. So, you know, have you ever seen that shirt does not play well with others? That's and his associate Dr. Sari Sutka, who is a chiropractor who worked with elite athletes. And essentially what happened is that I went to meet them. I took two friends, one very close friend and his girlfriend, because I was like, I don't want to get caught up in some crazy woo-woo bag of crystals. Right. So this is 2001. What's that? 22 years ago. 20, yeah. So September will be 22 years. And essentially what happened was that Dr. Sutka did this demonstration with Susan, and because she said, well, do you have any pain anywhere? And Susan goes, well, yeah, I got a little issue with my neck. Maybe you can adjust me. And Dr. Sutka goes, no, I don't adjust. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I got a chiropractor that doesn't adjust. Anyway, sets her down on the table, does some exercises to see where her range of motion is. And, and then she has my buddy, Tony, who I've known since the 80s, pull down her legs and put his thumbs right on her ankle bones. And literally they're about an inch different. So she takes this bag of crystals and she drops it on Susan's chest and the legs go square. Now I'm 5 feet away. My mind is just blown. I'm like, no. No. I mean, it's one of those things that all of a sudden you go, because that's not supposed to happen. That's a bag of rocks. So now my mind is reeling. And now I'm thinking, well, how would I sell this thing? Like, how would I set up a company for these people to sell this, whatever it is, this bag of crystals? And Susan, so next thing you know, Susan's, she can only reach to here, and then she's doing this, right? And she's got all full range of motion, and and she sits up and she looks at me and she says, I don't know what this is, but I'm not leaving here without one. Well, my marketing mind went, okay, if we can get instant results, I'll figure it out. So that started the journey. And I worked with those doctors for 3 years. And I want to say learned, but it's more like remembered. Dr. Sutka did a couple of initiations with me and really remembered why I'm here.
Why are you here?
This technology, I call it cutting edge ancient technology, because there is nothing new, right? Right. And in various times in universal time, if you will, these technologies were used in many places that many of us are aware of, in Atlantis, which I was there, and Lemuria, which I was there, and Egypt, which I was there, and all of these places and technology that we've heard of. And, so then as I began to realize that this wasn't my first rodeo, this wasn't the first time I'd done this. And, so since then, I've really gotten tuned in. I've really learned to connect with my higher self. I've really learned to listen to the angels whispering in my ears in an effort to try and avoid the 2x4 that comes when you don't listen. And so that put me back on the path, or brought me back to my purpose in bringing this technology forward again. And it's been a very interesting 22 years, I'll tell you.
Wow, yeah. I mean, you really are one of the early pioneers, so that's interesting. How do you tune in?
Say that again.
How do you tune in? How did you learn to listen? What was
You
the
know,
2 by 4? I had 2 by 4, believe me. Oh my gosh. Well, but how did you figure out how to how to listen again?
you know, I think for me, it was really I started to get more into. Okay, so when your mind gets scrambled, the logic gets scrambled. You begin to naturally search for a reason. It's like, okay, so what is this up? What is this about? How have I found myself in this space? And in the questioning, the answer begins to arrive. So I just began to notice all kinds of coincidences. Like I'm thinking something about, I wish I could figure this out, or I wish I could find somebody that could understand this and explain it. And I'd be on the phone with somebody and they go, "Hey, I want to introduce you to this doctor." And I'd get on with this doctor and he'd go, "Oh yeah, this and this and this and this and this." And actually, in that process, and this was in the first couple of years, because a lot happened from 2001 until 2007 when I actually started the business, the company, after another year of testing. My ex-wife was going to a healing class in Louisiana, in the backwoods, with this incredibly crazy doctor who actually understood and apparently was a general or an admiral in the the galactic force. So he had this incredible understanding. So she was going, I didn't know who he was, and she didn't really know who he was, but she was going to this biolinguistic class for remote healing. And I got this message that I was supposed to go. So she said, "Well, what do you mean you're going?" I'm going, "I don't know. All I know is I'm supposed to go." So I'm okay. It was in Hemp Hill, Texas. That's where it was. Hemp Hill, Texas. Imagine what comes to mind. So I go to this place and I show up, and Dr. Marvin Seaman, another brilliant guy with like 5 PhDs. I show up at his place and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I don't know, but I've been directed to come and we're going to find out." And he stops for a second and he checks in and he goes, oh yeah, you're right on time." It was like, and so things like that just started happening. And I noticed the more that I paid attention, right, that the easier it got. So Dr. Marvin was amazing, and I had no idea what the weekend was going to look like. And everyone went back to our original planets of origin, like the first time we incarnated, and it was wild. And it just so happens that he was a geologist. One of his PhDs was in geology, and he understood the frequencies of minerals and the parts of the body they're associated with, which I call human blueprint frequencies. And he actually, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, if you can even see it. Wait,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
okay, so it's a dowsing rod.
Nice.
and and he he used this thing to ask questions to the universe. And I was like so fascinated by it. It was like, this is wild. And it took me a little time to get tuned to the tool. But once you get tuned to the tool, then all bets are off. Everything gets easy, because if you have any questions, you can just ask. Now, since then, I've spent some time with Maureen St. Germain, and she's like, she goes, just notice that you have the answer before the device moves. And sure enough, that's the case, right? You know, so anyway, it's been just an amazing journey. So you
Yeah,
had some
yeah,
questions.
that's so cool, because Maureen St. Germain, I like her a lot, because I always go to hear people talk, and sometimes it's just general, but she gives tools. She gives you straight up tools that you can use. And I remember on one talk, she was saying, okay, I'm going to teach you how to talk to your higher self without a pendulum, I guess is what she was saying. And I'll tell the audience right now, because it's brilliant. She said, so first you need to come up with your yes and your no. And when you close your eyes, you're going to come up with a color, a smell, and an image. So my yes was a red rose, and it was red, which is kind of weird to think of a traffic light being, red is stop, but that was my yes. And then my no was like, I think it was green pine and pine trees. That was my no. And then she said, for 30 days, you had to take the advice that you got when you closed your eyes, no matter what. And she was like, do not ask yourself something that you're not willing to go for. So it's like, am I supposed to take this meeting? And if you're not willing to basically cancel that meeting, you are not doing it. And so you build a rapport with your higher self in that way. And it was super fascinating. I ended up doing a lot of muscle testing like this. And then I do a lot with the pendulum. But the simpler is better. So if you can just feel it in your gut, like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Do you close your eyes? Do you use a dowsing rod, a pendulum, or nothing, or what?
Well, I'll use, it depends on the situation. So for instance, like with my supplements, or products, if I have like just pick up the product, hold to my chest, it's in my highest and best interest to take this. I'll either move forward for a yes or move back. One or the other.
Full body, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I just use my body real simply like that. And for a while I was using a pendulum, which was another thing that the pendulum, when I with the first group of doctors I worked with, and I was we were doing an event in Hawaii, and we had a gal there who's like top 10 in the world in brain scans, and we were doing a golf clinic, because she taught the LPGA the mental game of understanding the mental part of golf. So we did some exercises on putting and understanding that, and then we went in the workshop, and she had a pendulum. She gave everybody a key with a string. And I'll never forget this, because this woman, PhD, is brilliant, just amazing. And she gives us this key on a string with a piece of paper with a circle and a cross in the middle of the circle. And she says, okay, I want you to hold it directly above the cross. And she said, and now I want you to make it move right to left. And I'm like, how's that work? But then I start thinking, and it starts moving, and I'm like, Okay, stop it. And you stop it, and she goes, okay, back and forth. So she goes through this whole thing, and then we got it going around like this. And again, here's my mind going, boom, like, but it was what was really interesting about that was, you know how you have an intuition about something or somebody, and then they show up or they call or whatever. But this was the first time I actually connected the physical world to the etheric. That my thinking actually affects the physical world. It was a concept for me up until then. It was like, oh yeah, I'm sure. But at that point, it was like this new opening of reality going, yeah, your thinking matters.
It's funny because that's what we use in the spoon bending, so it's cheaper to use keys on a pendulum. So it's kind of interesting. You guys, right now, if you're listening on Portal to Ascension or New Realities, we welcome you. We are talking with Rick Bergen of the brands, and you can get into the Zoom room to ask him questions. We're going to be opening it up for questions. If you go to lightnet.org/unlimited. Also, if you want to check out what Rick is doing, getthebrands.com. Check that out. So this is so fascinating because I loved it. I'm like really enraptured. Is that a word? So by your stories and everything. And I think it is so weird when you go from a regular life and then you're like, oh, but I can't deny that woman just like, whatever that device was, the bag of crystals. Like, I mean, did you ever figure out how that worked? I mean, was that a connection they had with, like, I wanted to ask you, in addition to that question, is these connections you were having with this extraterrestrial, like you said, like, you were listening and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I'm an admiral of the galactic, whatever. Like, that is so exciting. Like, what drew you into that? And was that original guy with the crystals connected to past lives in other planets? How did that work?
Oh yeah, well, so we did the past lives things, and we did lots of that, and actually my business partner, basically silent business partner, he had a place that he had a teak farm in Panama, and we went to open up Panama to the company because he had this place down there, and we did a meeting down there, and there was about 40 or 50 people there. Most of them, from the US, but a few, some local people. But Dr. Marvin said, he's going to check in to see how many of these people were together all in the same place at the same time. So he was doing that. And my partner, who's an incredible channeler, he took us on what's it called when you go back in time?
Not time traveling.
Past life regression.
Yeah.
Past life regression.
Past life progression.
Coffee.
He
Yeah.
took the whole room into a past life progression. So then we come out. So he finishes, and he goes, okay, so tell us what you saw. So different people would be raising their hand going, well, this is what I saw. And I'm like, I saw that. Then this one, he actually took us back to Atlantis. And 80% of the people in the room were there at that time. And it happened to be when we were all running because something was exploding.
Oops.
Yeah, it was. And so that was another one of those. And Dr. Marvin was the one who was measuring, and Dan was actually leading it. So we began to see this gathering. Now, over the years, so I've seen this gathering of like minds, really of past life relationships. And whenever we have a conference, like we have a conference coming up in the first week in November, and a lot of times we'll get together and we'll investigate if we spent some time in some lifetime together. And inevitably, most of the room has been together before. So it's really kind of fun to just play with that and, you know, and see what it's all about. So, but getting back to, you know, the technology. Yeah. Excuse me. So the technology, when we started, we had like 4 pendants, and they had basically 35 human blueprint frequencies that match the human body, that were, I'm going to say, lower 4 chakras, more specific, because you know that's where our health, you know, is well, some of our health is experienced. And what's happened over these 22 years is that, how it appears to me, is that when the planet is ready for a new set of frequencies, which isn't a new set of frequencies, but actually frequencies that have been latent, have been dormant in our DNA. So for those of you who know Nassim Haramein, who is amazing, I love Nassim, but he's talked about how throughout history, there's been things inserted into our DNA. And they show it. And I've seen him in a presentation a couple times at the UFO conference. And he's a brilliant man, but he's so down to earth and so connected, right? Because he really connects science and spirituality in a unique way. And so he's shown where these insertions have happened in our DNA over, you know, the thousands of years. And he's like, now where could these be from? And what could they be for? So what's happened is, as I'm continuing to given the information to take it to the next level, is I get I'll get the information along the way. So I'm listening, and I'll just be out somewhere. And this happens a lot in places like Sedona. I was at or in Hawaii, and I'll come across a crystal store, and I'll just ask, is there anything in this store that I need? Yes or no? And many times I'll get a yes, and then I go in and I just connect and I go, okay. And a lot of times I'll take the dowsing rod. I go, okay, is it this way? Is it this way? And I'll just be led to it. And I'll come across a crystal. And in the crystal will be information that I need. Information that I put in there. Way back. So, you know, I'll download it. Sometimes I'll buy the crystal, sometimes I won't. I'll always clean it. And that process has continued, and the technology has continued to advance. And after we got through the basic, then we came up, one of the products we came with in the very beginning, which, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a intention disc. Okay. And it's got these swirls on it that all go to the right. And if you turn it over, the swirls all go to the right again. But when you look at the end, all the right-hand swirls are connected.
Yeah.
Infinitely.
Huh.
And this is probably one of the most powerful tools we've got. And because the purpose of it is to clear incoherent energy in the body, especially emotional. So now as we begin to understand that we're not physical, right? As we go into this quantum understanding that we're not physical and everything is energy, and our emotions are one of the most powerful energies that we generate daily. So that takes me in two places. One is, what am I thinking? Because it affects the world. All of our thinking affects the world. What are we creating, co-creating? And is there something that occurred in my lifetime or one of my lifetimes that has me have a pain here, hurt myself in one way, shape, or form, break a leg, break an arm, whatever? Is this dis-ease connected to an energy that I created in this lifetime or some other? And then learning how to just use this simple tool to clear that incoherent energy. I spent 2.5 years with this thing in my back pocket. And every time anything came up, so I'm driving down the road and somebody, I apparently cut them off and they waved to me in that very affectionate way that we've all seen. The one finger salute. And my immediate reaction would be to get upset, right? But I would just grab this and go clear any and all incoherent energy around this experience and any and all underlying belief that would have me react in this way. And I was so amazed because over the years of doing that, all of a sudden, nothing bothered me. All of a sudden, I had come to this place of clearing where I noticed it wasn't really about me. Like, what's going on over there such that this is the energy being sent here? And I began to allow it to go through me. So, sometimes we talk about, protection from, and we want to, get it away from us. But that doesn't, in my opinion, dissolve the energy. I want to transmute that energy. I want to transmute that dis-ease for wellness. And see, and not just for me, because the ill is over there, but if it's over there, it's over here, because we are that connected. So it's just one of those things that as you begin to use this basic, simple technology, you experience these changes, these shifts. And when you get right down to it, right, if what I've heard is like maybe 80 or 90% of all dis-ease is emotionally based, that's very powerful. And when we actually own our own creation ability and we get connected with who we really are, we realize, well, wait a minute, I'm at the heart of this creation. People say, well, I wouldn't create disease in my body. Well, do we have any if we don't own the responsibility for it, can we do anything about it? Now, frankly, I don't really know if that's completely true, but I'll tell you what, I feel so much better taking responsibility for the current situation, whatever that is, because as I think clearly and connect, what I need shows up. So it's really so fun to stop being in fear and to just learn to come from love. And do I do it all the time? I'm human. Right? I still have that, but you know, it just shifts everything. It just shifts everything. And it shifts what you attract. Right? And it changes, it really does change your life, physically, emotionally, spiritually. All of the whole picture changes. Now, the basis and the purpose of all of our products is really, they're all just a delivery system for information. Now, you could say that about every product because that's what every product is, right? They're all delivery systems. The question is, what are they delivering? What information are they delivering? So we have this line of products that really the purpose is to enhance the energetic field, to bring the life force up, to transmute incoherence to something coherent. So if we take something as simple as the toxic soup we live in, right? EMFs, the ELFs, all this incredible technology, Bluetooth, all the stuff we've created. So we are brilliant. We are connected to source. We don't create anything that we can't fix or do something about its incoherence. So, you know, when you look at EMFs and taking EMF frequencies, EMF waves, and transmuting them from incoherence, which doesn't match the human body, to coherence. Now, all of a sudden, those same waves actually make you healthier. So instead of trying to resist them, what we resist persists, right? Let's transmute them. Now, we are transmuting beings. We do it all the time. We know we physically do it. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, right? We got these plants in the carbon dioxide, out the plants. That's all transmutation. We're in this ever dance with nature and the connectedness of all of it. So, first of all, learning to transmute, learning to not resist, learning to not live in fear changes your life. And then you get more messages, and then you have more fun. And then joy is like a daily thing. Now, I don't know about you, but I like that. Right? I mean, is there a better way to live than enjoy? So we were meant to be that way. We were meant to live that way. We were meant to be healthy. So back to the technology. So as the technology advanced, so we had the basic stuff. We had the most basic, but so important, right? Clearing that incoherent energy. And then we have the red laser and the full set of lasers. And again, a simple tool, a simple tool. There's all kinds of information out there about red laser technology and a simple tool. But when you combine things like sacred geometry, so now we bring in sacred geometry because, you know, everything really has a shape. And so the octahedron matches cellular structure in the body. And if you look at our original logo, and the name of the company originally was 0 Point Global. And it was an octahedron. Now, if you look at our laser, and when you shine it on the wall, you'll see an octahedron with Tesla coils. Right? So now we're beginning to incorporate this additional technology from the eons. And then we begin to get information about what's next. So, you know, I still remain open and skeptical, right? If you can have those two things in one place at one time. So I'll get information about a product or a frequency or something, and I'll begin to connect and test and ask questions. Level of efficacy, you know, is this in the highest and best interest of the people on the planet? Not that there's the whole list of questions. Did I get enough yeses? And then I take it to the next level. Okay, so let's see how these frequencies affect the blood, right? So we'll do some microscopy and we'll look at, okay, how is it affecting the blood? Then we always focus on the field, because the way the field works, right? The field really is that connection outside what we call physicality that connects to everything else, right? You got these layers of the field. And what happens in the field happens in the physical body and vice versa. So the field is in constant communication. It's in constant reflection of what's going on in here. And Dr. Korotkov, the Russian physicist, who created an incredible piece of equipment to actually measure the field. And in 1991, he did a study with 6,000 people at the University of Virginia. And he was able to map out, using Brilliant photography, digitized the entire human system, physical body, and the chakras and all the connected pieces, and be able to see where there was incoherence in your field. And by seeing the incoherence in the field, you could actually diagnose something that wasn't physical yet. It was still in an energetic form, which is so amazing. People don't realize. Now, whether it's actually going to come into physical form will be up to you, right? It'll be up to, you know, what you're thinking, drinking, breathing, who you're being in every moment, right? But the beauty of it is that we could take it, and because we're using energy, and how long does it take energy to change you? How long does it take? Energy is like here and it's here. It's here and it's there, and it's here and it's there. It's here and it's there. It's everywhere. We're tapping into the matrix. So with our products, we could test it and see an immediate change. So we want to see, okay, is there an immediate change in the field to a level of coherence? Because if we're not getting good blood and we're not getting a good field, then something's wrong. Especially if I've gone through a whole list of questions, a whole litany of questions, and got yeses. It's like, okay, I got to go back to the drawing board. And I do. And sometimes after that process, we'll put it out and I'll do research with live people. So we typically have somewhere between, Harriet's laughing. She's always in our research. And we'll put the product out for 30, 60, 90 days to see how people experience it, to see what kind of results they get, to see if I need to make an adjustment. Now, one of the, so as we, now every time the technology, I'm going to call it upgrades, we have to get this new / old information into the field. And initially, it can be a little adverse. It can be an experience of detox. You know, so as we begin to get these higher frequencies, and the purpose of these higher frequencies really, when we look at Arcturian and we look at Palladian and we look at Syrian, you know, all of these family members who over the eons have given us some incredible information into our DNA, most of which we've been disconnected from. And for so long, you know, we've got this junk DNA. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's not junk DNA. Maybe there's just a set of codes in there that we haven't accessed yet, that we haven't vibrated at a level such that we could access it for what's next, for what it is to be human. So one of the things was Orion. So we had these Orion frequencies. Yeah, Harriet, that's the Orion disk. And the Orion frequencies were very powerful. I mean, very, very powerful. There was some stuff going on in the research group that was, well, let's just say one of the main qualities of these Orion frequencies is sovereignty. Well, you know how sometimes in relationships we have this codependence going on. Well, when all of a sudden the two people become sovereign and they want to make all of a sudden their own choices. So after I think it was 60 days, Harriet, it was about 60 days. And every 2 weeks we'd have a call. And after about 60 days, I said, okay, there's way too much adversity in the space. I need to make an adjustment in the information, which we did. And everything kind of just smoothed out because we had to actually bring in a level of compassion so that people could understand that it's okay to be in a relationship and be sovereign. And that you could be more deeply connected as a sovereign human being who's not concerned about so much about what's going on over there. It's focused on being the best you can be for everyone, and particularly your partner. But that doesn't mean you have all the same answers. You agree with everything they say, but you appreciate who they are. So we moved from what I call the base technology to the stellar, and it just started out as, silver, a serious silver, and then came what was second was Orion. Yeah, so we had the Sirius pendant, then Orion, and then Sirius Arc, which is the one I'm currently wearing, which is a combination of Sirian and Arcturian, and then Palladium, most recently. And we can do all kinds of amazing physical demonstrations, actually showing how they physically change your body. We can show how if you do blood work, you get a microscopist, you do your blood before you hold this or put it on, and you do the blood after, immediately you see it increases the microcirculation. It really, you see a physical change. It's third party, let's call it that. But what's most important is where we're going. Because where we're going, what the company's really about is people getting well, because it's really hard to be spiritually connected many times when you're busy being sick, when you're in pain, when you're continuing to create calamity in your life, right? When you are creating things from another lifetime because your body thinks it's supposed to have a broken arm or whatever. You've been abandoned, whatever the case may be. We begin to reach another level of connection so that we remember who we are. So that's really the most important thing, is having people have some simple tools that can help them get from where we are to where we're going. And we're all in the boat together, right? It's like we either sail together or sink together. We're all in the boat together, like it or not. So if there's any way that I can continue to create simple tools that people can use to further establish the connection to who they are, to remembering who they are, such that we all get to the point, or that we get to the critical point, that we realize and remember who we are, can heal ourselves and everyone else without any tools. That it's about the consciousness that we are and the powerful interconnectivity of that consciousness, and collectively shifting where we are to where we're going.
Thank you so much. It's so cool, Rick, the way your image is coming in and out. I feel like I'm getting a transmission from outer space or from time. And it's so interesting because in a sense, that's what we're doing. We're experiencing time here, 2023, but we're, as you said earlier, we're remembering these other concepts that we know. And as we become more coherent, like you said, the guy, that's flying the bird to you is no longer tangling our energy. And so we really start to, the cosmic soup becomes more beautiful. And so thank you for the 22 years that you've been working to remind us and digging back, because you're either going forward or you're getting it in real time, or you're going back to get some of these answers that aren't obvious in the here and now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really applaud your, you know, your instinct to go galactic, and your instinct to understand that our thoughts do affect physical reality. And so do stones, and so does what we think, and so does what we drink, and so does what we eat, and so does our relationships and the sovereignty around all of that stuff adds up. So yeah, it's really cool. You know, I just wanted to, you know, we've got Joe here, one of the guys that works with you. We're going to open it up to questions. Again, if you guys are in watching this live, you can go to lightnet.org/unlimited and get in their Zoom room. If you're watching this, you know, on Can TV or New Realities, Rick is going to be back with us in 2 weeks on the 27th, same time, Thursday, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, to do a hands-on workshop with you guys. So we're going to be using the laser technology to work on some healing for people in the call. And that's what LightNet is all about. It's like, we want you to have the goosebumps. But we were talking to a shaman here about goosebumps in Hawaii, and he was doing all these chants, and he was describing the electrification that happens in your body when you're connected. It was so interesting. And this is really, I also love how you know, you're saying it's like the ancient high tech. And even your pendant, you know, we forget that, you know, someone was describing these toroidal fields to us the other day, and it was like a 3D printed thing with copper, and they were like, this could literally blow up, you know, I don't know, like, I mean, if you put the wrong energy in it, it could spin up too quickly. It was just a simple thing, but when set into motion, these things can be really powerful. So so I love the shape of that thing, because it compounds itself, and that's why people go, like you said, the Sedona, because the field becomes more coherent. So the things that you're holding on to that's causing your shoulder to hurt because of the like abandonment that you had, right? It's all, you know what I mean, that emotional emotions really do cause a lot of most of what our physical reality. I was taught that it's mostly emotional, then there's a thin layer of mental, and it's very infrequently spiritual, but it can be. So anyway, I want to invite everyone to ask some questions. I also want to remind you, so if this workshop is going to be in 2 weeks, it's going to be free with like a membership, and we're becoming a really amazing post-disclosure community, because people want to get together, they want to experience stuff, they want to talk about stuff, and they want to meet each other. And so yeah, we encourage you to go to lightnet.org/join. We're also launching last night on Awakening World. We just launched our Contact 250. And those of you who were a part of Contact 100, we got 100 people together to make contact with Altair and myself and 100 people from around the world. And we were up at all hours of the night. We're going to do it more normal times this time. So it's going to be 6 to 10. So for 5 nights, we're doing this. And it's at the end of September. We're actually going to do it in person as well in Sedona. So Altair is flying in. He's got all sorts of incredible mystics that are converging onto Sedona to be with him, which you'll get to meet if you come to Sedona. But you know, we got amazing response. You can read about it here at lightnet.org. And yeah, so Friday, September 22nd, 23rd, 6 to 10, and again the next weekend. So we encourage you to join us for that. So I'm going to open it up to questions here. So if anybody has a question, they can raise your hand. It's in the reactions down there, and I'll call you and bring you up, and you can talk to Rick. Okay. Hey, Coffee, how's it going?
Hi, I'm going good. So I had a question for Rick. I wanted to know, what is the recommended dose of like how much water you should drink that goes through this thing a day, if there is a dosage recommendation?
Yeah, don't drink more than 8 ounces.
Oh, For real.
No, I'm
No
kidding.
wonder
Oh my
you
God.
were bouncing up. I was gonna say, I was like,
I'm kidding. I'm
Because I
kidding.
drank like 3 cups of it and I am feeling the effects. Like I am like wired. I feel like I'm wired right now.
No, you can really drink you can drink as much as you want. And I drink probably 6 or 8 of these a day.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So because that the way that ionizer changes the water. And what's really fascinating about it is it actually takes it into what's considered the 4th stage of water, because you've got freezing, you've got steam, right? You got ice, those 3 forms. And then the 4th form. And in the 4th form, it actually changes from H2O to H3O2. So that little device just adds another molecule of hydrogen and oxygen, and it microclusters, which means it makes the clusters in the water
Structured.
smaller, so the
Oh,
body's ability to absorb it goes up, and then you're getting the negative ions, which is a good thing. Like when it rains, right? You go outside and you can feel that, you know.
this thing creates negative ions. I'm like, I love I love all the studies on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now you're also drinking it, and you got the microclustering going on, and ionization, and so it really the ability to hydrate your body with healthy water is so important. And we actually go through a process. So all of our products that are liquid products, we make the water for. So the water gets specifically made and programmed and sent to the manufacturer that makes our mint matrix and our citrus silk and our love product and our the silver and all of that stuff, so that we know, because the water is ubiquitous to life, right? And we're 70-80% water, right? So that it's very conductive, and it makes a big difference. So if you start with the best, and I mean the process that our water goes through is phenomenal, that we make the products with, which is what makes such a difference. Because the smaller the molecules, the more the body can absorb them. And of course, when you add an energetic imprint of information, then you're also not only affecting the physical, of course, which is one of the effects, but you're affecting the field. And that's, again, now reflecting back into the body.
Wow, that's so cool. Thank you so much for explaining that, because I was a little worried there for a second, but yeah, I'm probably gonna, honestly, this is gonna be like all the water I drink. Like it's like what I'm feeling in my body is just so crazy, and I'm so grateful for this technology, and thank you so much.
Well, people don't realize that we get dehydrated. And I talk to people and they go, but I drink like 5 bottles of water a day. What kind of water are you drinking? Because, the stuff we're getting, God forbid you're drinking water from your tap, but even the bottled water in many cases is not hydrating the body. And so you're drinking and drinking and drinking, and the cells are going, no, because all of that water is positively charged, going against cells that are positively charged, and it's not letting the water in. So you need the negative charge to connect and get into the cell to hydrate you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really not that complicated.
Yeah, it's so important when our bodies are so, like you said, predominantly water. I definitely notice a difference. So I have
Yeah.
a question to you for you about our galactic heritage. You refer to them as, our brothers and sisters, ancestors, things like that. And some people, are like, oh, I have Palladian in me, or I have Syrian in me. Does that mean that you have had lives that you've lived in Syria, or does it, or Arcturian like blood, or does it mean, like, what do you think people mean?
Okay,
And how
so
does it work exactly genetically or whatever it is, right?
okay, so I'm going to suggest that first of all, we all have an original planet of origin. The first time we came into being, and it probably wasn't in Earth. Could have been, probably wasn't. So we have this stellar connection, which it's fairly easy for people to relate to or connect to if they've got into any of our woo-woo-ness. So now when you take it a step further and you begin to look at things like, insertions into our DNA for information to improve human being, to have our star sisters and brothers actually assist us in these higher vibrations, in better understanding of who we are, better connection. But much of it is blocked, or we're not ready for all the information. Let's put it that way. We're not ready for all the information. So there's organizations like mine around the world popping up with technology to assist us in getting there so that we can really access all this information, which then would imply that we are part of the stellar family in more than just our original incarnation, wherever that happened to be. So that's just what I get.
Yeah. What another thing I was really interested in asking you is, what do you think went wrong in Atlantis and Lemuria? Because I mean, we're close to getting to that point again where we're kind of playing with fire with everything, with AI and CRISPR and all this like cool stuff. But it's like, wait, what went wrong before? So
The first thing that comes to mind is arrogance.
Yeah.
I mean, understanding who we are, but still standing in humility. And really not allowing the ego mind to be driving us, right? So we're so unconscious much of the time, but the ego mind is just taking us through every day, getting mad, getting upset. It has to be this way. They did this. I don't like that. All of that stuff that tends to run us until we learn to let it go, until we become connected enough that we notice it either in the happening or shortly after, so that we can go, whoa, wait a minute, whoa, you're not running the show. This is running the show. So I think that's where we're at. We have too much of this, and not enough of this. But we're shifting it. We're shifting it. Nothing happens without chaos. And the key is seeing the beauty in the chaos. Connect to that. Make that what matters. So.
Yeah, and it's like as we move faster, so the decisions have to be faster as the tech becomes more powerful and more. I say the tech is not the problem. Like I always say, it's like a pen. You can write a love letter, or you can write a hate letter. It's the same pen. So we have to think when are we being triggered and hurt by the world, or are we dancing together, in something other type of creation. And as the decisions get faster, we got to clear the field as fast as we can, because at one point it just becomes inevitable that it goes one way. And I think we're about to hit this galactic renaissance. And you're part of that.
That's why I like to hold it in a place of allowing. So in allowing for the transmutation of the information to a higher resonance, and reflecting that back, because trying to fight it, you can't win, because you're just giving energy to the fight.
Yeah.
Right. So. Going,
Yeah,
okay.
And I often notice that it's like they're going to give me, they ping me a lesson, and it's like, okay, here it came around again. And if my reaction is negative or in fear or triggered or that, like all those things, then it has no choice. I mean, it's doing it in love. It's showing me that in love because it wants me to heal from it. But if I can't, then it goes back around and around and around. And the same thing is with the positive thing. It's like it's going to keep serving us these things, experiences, until they pass through us.
So,
and if they pass through, then you get a new something, right? And it ends up being so good. It's like I'm starting to get so blissed out. I'm like, no wonder they take this slow. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave your couch, because you're just like thinking there's so many synchronicities. This is so like heartwarming.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's giving you the challenges?
Well, my own reaction to the world, right? It's my inner state that's like, it's the mirror, right? It's the mirror.
So we are the generators of the experience.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, wait. I did that?
I know. I know.
How many times am I going to do that?
Yeah. So we have a technical question, but it's about to be 444, and that's my it is right now here in Hawaii. And that's my oh my gosh, I want to work with that person number. And I want to ask you this, what do you see best case scenario for a galactic renaissance? If you were to throw yourself a little in the future, how would what do you see if we were to put those two words together, galactic renaissance? What would that look like for you personally, even, or us, the world? What would your lab look like? Where would you travel? Who would you hang out with? What would we figure out? I don't know.
I have a lot of memories of the Pleiades, and that is probably the one that comes really closest to my heart, and it's really about the interconnectivity, the level of I want to say, well, I'm just going to say male-female interconnectivity. It's a Have you ever just hugged somebody and in a moment you all of a sudden feel like there's just one being? It's like there's no longer two of you. And that's a Palladian experience in my remembering. So that's,
I felt that way twice. Once with a man I didn't even know. He was, well, barely knew, I could say, in Los Angeles, in front of this time machine. He had a time machine car from Back to the Future, mints exactly every wire, and I was like, oh my God. And there was literally like a hole. It just, like, our bodies became a hole. Like, it was like you know what I mean? Like my chest. And then another time with my friend Leroy, and I was like, what just happened? Like, wow. So that's
yeah.
really, my friend, like,
I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I
yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. It's like a full merging of quantum. That's so cool. You know, we have a question from Jennifer, and we also have a technical question from Harriet. So Harriet's asking, do you recommend putting the water through 2 or 3 passes through the hydrofilter and then the red laser for the best efficiency?
wait.
How does that work? So we're talking about the water filter. So when you do your water, are you doing it 5 times through, 3 times through, and then doing the red laser? How does it work exactly?
I'm only doing it 1 time through.
Okay.
And red laser, and my water actually goes through another process, because I have a vortex machine that vortexes the water. It's called a vitalizer. And what I've done is in the vitalizer, it looks like a blender, right? It looks like a blender, and it causes a vortex in the blender, but there's no blade. It's actually caused by magnetics. Okay, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I was just showing people a little bit the different things.
Wait,
but
is it this one?
no, that's not even your tech. You use someone else's tech for the vortex part. I mean, the thing you're talking about, the electric.
Yeah, except here's the difference. We put an intention disc in the bottom of it so that the vortex goes through the center.
Yeah.
And clears the memory in the water. You know, because water has memory, and it will carry the memory from anywhere that it's ever been. Well, if you know anything about our water, it's had a lot of stuff in it. And regular filters, you know, an RO unit, for instance, is taking out the physicality, but it's not taking out the memory. So when you clear the memory, you now take it to another level.
Yeah, and we see that with, like, I've noticed it just like being out in nature. When you don't have to deal with the massive amount of thoughts of other people, you know, we live in a total bubble in Sedona. Like, people are open-minded, they're loving, they're kind. But so probably like helps people, but you go into an environment that's not like that, and you're having to leave, like, yeah, so it's not it's, you know, you're not starting at like a blank slate, in other words. And we know this with spoon bed. Everybody's thoughts is piling on top of each other. if you get enough doubters in that room, nothing, you're gonna be really having to lift, right? So we
Yeah.
put doubters next to believers. So cool. We have Bradley here to ask a question. Okay. Hi, Bradley.
Hi, how are
Welcome.
y'all?
Good to see
I
you.
just, hi, Joe. I'm always sending Joe email. Hi. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for these great products. And I haven't, I kind of got a package thing and it's just been fabulous. And Joe spent like 30 seconds on some arthritic elbow of mine that's really been bad this year. And it was gone in 2 days after 30 seconds. So I'm like, Joe, I'm in. And it's just been fascinating. So I have all my lasers and they're just fabulous. And I just want to thank you. And that's why I tuned in to learn more. And I really learned a lot. So thank you. Thank you very much. It's just been great.
Excellent. Excellent.
And can you expand on the vitalizer at all, or is that?
Well, you can look it up.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great product. And if you added intention disc to it, it becomes a greater product.
She's got one. I saw that fly a little bit earlier.
That's right.
So my boyfriend's like, your eyes. So I have this weird thing about my eyes and this weird belief about my eyes, which is kind of disappointing. But my belief is that well, actually, talk about this is like spell casting. I'm like, I do not want to wear glasses anymore. It like bugs me. It's annoying, and I don't want to do it. And then I was doing some work with it, and I got your laser for it. But then, so I take off my glasses, I do the laser, and then I'm like, and then I mess up my eyes by having to put back my glasses every time. And I'm like, my brain isn't going to be able to switch back and forth between a partial healing. Then it gets stuck back on with the old prescription kind of, you know what I mean? It's like, these braces that you can get that's like gradually bring your teeth in, you throw it away and get the next one.
Yeah.
We need glasses like that, but I also understand fundamentally that it can go like that. And Joe's cured his eyes with your tech and stuff like that. So anyway, what is the process with, and we're going to do this in the workshop. Whoever's listening, you guys, we are going to be clearing some cool energy with stellar technology in 2 weeks from now. So we encourage you to join us. Lightup.org/membership is $8 a month, 5 workshops a month. We're nonprofit. We want you guys to spread this information as fast as you can across the globe. But anyway, what's your take on my eyes, or how I should use your laser in that regard?
Well, I'm going to let Joe tell you that because he's the expert. But what I will say is you've got to see the. Do you know Tom Dongle?
Yes, of course.
He just gave us the greatest testimonial about the fact that he's 80 something, and after 40 some years of glasses, no more glasses. He can read fine print using red laser.
That's so cool. My boyfriend's like, have you called Tom yet? Have you called Tom yet? Last 2 months, I'm like, yeah. What is that? That's like, oh God. Okay, so tell me.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, there's a great video on my YouTube channel where I demonstrate how to work with your eyes. But basically, I actually helped my body heal my eyes accidentally. I wasn't doing it on purpose. I started doing the expos in 2018, and people would say, well, you can't shine a red laser in your eyes. And so I take the red laser and I just shine in my eyes with my eyes open, going back and forth, just like this. I can see the logo and everything. And then I kept demonstrating it that way and got to where I didn't need reading glasses anymore. I just kept demonstrating it that way and got to where I didn't need daytime glasses. And then 3 years ago, I was like, I don't need glasses at night either. So it's really, just 20 to 30 seconds at a time, back and forth. Next time you can go up and down. You're exercising your eyes and you're activating the mitochondria and better microcirculation, et cetera, in your eyes. And then the body does the rest.
What was Tom's deal?
Well, Tom was using a magnifying glass to try and read fine print a year ago. And he bought the red laser. I showed him how to use it. And he just did a testimonial for me where he now reads fine print with no glasses. And I didn't ask him what the time frame was, but it was less than a year. And he did it each evening. He said he did it for a couple of minutes, in the evenings.
Okay.
He did it consistently. Yeah.
All right. Drew, can you turn on your camera? You're going to be our last question here. Thanks, Joe. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so
Good to
glad
see
you
you
were
too.
able to come
All right.
on.
And everybody
There he
else.
is.
Drew, welcome.
Hey,
Hey,
thank-
Drew.
yeah, this is really trippy because I was just dreaming about not needing glasses, and I've heard about like endmyopia.org, eye yoga, and you're talking about all the synchronicities, and I was like, oh man, I've had these since I was 7 years old, and yeah, I'll send you my email directly. And then I'm hearing, oh my goodness, like this is it, this is happening. So if there's a protocol, if you could send me, but I guess my question would be, do you titrate down from, like I'm at -4 with my lenses. So are
And
these
I'm at
going from-
-375, Drew. I knew we were going to do this together. I challenge you and I to do this every day on the clock for 20 seconds and just take care of this. Like, this is like citizen science. Let's just do this. That's how it works. Because
Yeah, my question
I have the
is,
same.
are you going from these glasses to none, or is it like 4, 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Yeah.
I went from just one pair of glasses to none. But I take that back. I had reading glasses all over the house. And then I had distance glasses. When I started out, I was wearing contact lenses and reading glasses. I had reading glasses all everywhere. And then I got to where I didn't need the reading glasses anymore. And my eyes, I couldn't wear the contacts anymore because they hurt my eyes after I started putting them in. So I had to switch to an old pair of glasses. And then I could already see well enough around the house. The only time I was using glasses was to drive in the daytime and nighttime. And then I got to where I could drive in the daytime without them. And then, got to where I could drive at night without them. So
how long was the process for you, for example?
I wasn't doing it on purpose, so I don't know. I was only doing it. I was doing 1 to 2, 3, maybe 4-day expos a month. And the only time I lasered my eyes was at the expos. But I might laser it 30 times in one day, every day at the expo. And I wasn't doing it otherwise.
And you don't have to have your eyes open necessarily. Okay.
Unless you want to see that logo.
Yeah, well, I like to see the logo too, but you don't need to have your eyes open because Tom didn't have his eyes open based on the information I saw. And Drew, eye yoga. So I had done yoga for many years, and my teacher, she actually taught us some eye yoga where you close your eyes and you look to the corners.
Yeah.
Right. But what I realized with using our laser is that I do exactly that. So I've got my eyes following the laser. So I'm getting those kind of eye exercises at the same time. And even with your eyes closed, you can tell where the laser is because it's bright.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And of course, I was always occasional, and the FDA makes us say you can't, don't do this in your eyes, right? Because it's a laser.
Right.
But lately, I haven't really paid a lot of attention to what the FDA had to say. You might have to cut that part.
Okay, yeah, I hear you.
Understood.
Well, so yeah, Drew, what are you feeling? So we're getting all these data points of different people and different ways that we could go about this. I'm thinking like, oh, can we draw down the like a contact lens? It's very expensive to get lenses. Actually, have you ever worn contact lenses, disposable?
Well, I think you'll see, I know like Priscilla, who wanted to be on this call tonight, but she was flying somewhere and she wanted to know if it was going to be recorded because she wants to see it.
Yeah.
But
Because of the light at YouTube.
after, I don't know, after 30 some years, she had the same thing going on with Joe. She put the glasses on and all of a sudden she'd been using our eye drops and the laser, and it started hurting to put her glasses on, and she thought maybe that was hurting her eyes. So she goes to the ophthalmologist, and the ophthalmologist says, no, your eyes are actually a point better.
Yeah.
So, you know, it may be just a gradual thing where you notice that, you know, your glasses don't feel right. Your vision doesn't feel right.
Well, that's another thing that occurred to me is to like literally get like let's do the citizen science thing and literally get an ophthalmologist to agree to see us every 3 months for a year, just like real quick, you know, like pop in there. So we're not spending a ton of money, but that you know, doing this crazy experiment, you know what I mean, with us. I don't know.
Well, I've got tons of testimonials where in 2 months they've gone for their annual checkup and both eyes have improved. You got people that are in 30 days can open their combination lock without glasses, without their reading glasses, you know, but it's just a matter of, you know, doing it consistently. And then you'll know, you know, it's like not wearing glasses is one of the best things you can do for your eyes, because you know, it's very unhealthy to wear glasses, especially sunglasses. Sunglasses are very unhealthy, but when you don't wear glasses and you're using the laser to help your body heal the eyes, the eyes are getting more exercise, because when you put glasses on, your eyes relax. You know, you just took all the muscle motion out. And so that's, you know, it's a progression. Like I said, I kept a pair of glasses in each vehicle so that, you know, if I needed them at night, I would have them. But otherwise, you adjust quite quickly, actually. Like say, Tom was listening.
Yeah, and your medical records show the change too. So yeah, correct. I really want to try this more in earnest. And what do you feel, Drew? Do you want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I've been dreaming about this.
Now, if you want to take
it's already in process. Like I was already making a plan of, okay, if I'm walking around outside, I'm in San Francisco right now, and if I'm not driving, like the glasses are going to be off, and I'm just going to let that sun in. So. Yeah, when I was 19, my eye doctor said I could get either LASIK or what's called orthokeratology, or be blind by 30. And at that time, I hadn't had as many red pills in my diet. So I took the ortho-K, and I was at a -7. And then I was in Brazil last year and my ortho-K lenses stopped working. And I think I had the wrong cleaning solution. I'm not sure, but basically they stopped working. And my eye doctor said, oh, it's because they're old. Well, they do each eye one at a time, and one was a year older than another. And I said, there's no way they both go bad at the exact time when they're different in age by a year, right? So I just didn't have glasses for a while. And then I got back to the US and my vision was at -4. So I went from -7 to -4. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but clearly the eyes can regenerate because they're doing it.
The whole body can regenerate when you give it the right frequencies.
Yeah.
That's what, you know,
I gotta get me a laser.
The eyes is it regenerates the eyes. I had
Yeah.
an eye doctor.
Like-
I lost a lens snow skiing when I was still wearing them some in the daytime. I lost a lens snow skiing up in Bryan Head.
You should have seen that.
Yeah, I did a header to moguls. It was outrageous. But I took the old prescription and my glasses in to get a new lens put in because I was going to the Dominican Republic the next week. And the doctor said he'd never seen an eye correct itself the way mine had. And so I love the way you give the body the credit for it also, because the body has to do the healing. So
That's
it's
so
pretty
cool.
wild. If
This
you want to see the demonstration, just go to my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com / at the red laser guy.
The red.
And like I say, there's 2 different ones on the eyes there, along with Tom's videos there, and it's awesome. He also talks about getting rid of a toothache. So he got more in a 1-minute video than anybody I've ever seen so far.
Yeah, this is so cool, you guys. And this is, here's the bio well showing the technology. I mean, we're really, we have these subtle energy devices that are finally able to give frequency devices, which is why they're all over, they're starting to pop up all over the place. So, and this is really at the core of LightNet, is the story of the 4-minute mile. So if Joe and Tom can do it, so can we. And maybe we'll do a seeing eye lab, because that's what we do. We find 100 people did something totally crazy, and then we say what we did.
So Zenka, I'm really interested in, I love the science side too. I love the research validation. I mean, when Joe came in my office and threw all his glasses down on the desk and said, "Here, I don't need these anymore." And he had all this paperwork to go with it. I was like, okay. So, I'd love that kind of research, and I would definitely support it however I could. And I would suggest that you incorporate this, because undoubtedly there's always an emotional component associated with everything that occurs, and maybe there's stuff we don't want to see.
I've been carrying that intention disc in my back pocket for about 6 years now, or longer. I take it with me everywhere.
So we'll talk more about that. Let's, just you guys, sleep on it or whatever, and converse, and we'll see what we can do. Because I would love to have some additional third-party validation. So we could accelerate the results globally.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like comparing notes, and there's pioneers that, like you, right? I mean, I think I can't believe doing this for 22 years. I mean, that's amazing, and it's like now people understand, how. And so anyway, I just want to honor you tonight. I want to honor Joe too for like all the work that you've done to bring these types of devices to the world. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, from arthritis to your eyes. Right?
I love it.
So
The
thank
emotional
you guys
rewards
so
are great.
much. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, Drew, for lifting me up into this experiment and experience more fully. And it's more fun to do things together. So this is great. And yeah, see you guys in 2 weeks. So Contact 250 is on the site, and also to join if you want to become a member and join us in 2 weeks. So we'll be working on those eyes, I'm sure, among other things that you guys want to bring.
We'll
All
have
right,
some
thanks
fun.
so much, Rick. Thanks so much,
Absolutely.
guys.
Namaste.
Okay. Namaste.
Take care, everybody. Have
Bye.
fun.